Let me guess, Trump's reelection has you questioning if you'll ever find love in America again. We're seeing brilliant progressive women making 3 devastating dating mistakes right now that are killing your chances at marriage. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to find a husband who shares your values without compromising who you are. So fear not, my beautiful angels. Hope is not lost. Let's get into it. Welcome back. I'm Esther, and this is The Art of Wifery. We help women transition out of sugar dating, situationships, and toxic dating patterns into real marriages with provider husbands who cherish and protect their wives. Ladies, I'm seeing a lot of you making some really painful dating decisions right now because of politics. And we need to have a heart-to-heart, okay? Because if you're watching this, I know what you want. You want to be cherished. You want to be treasured. You want a husband who shares your deepest values and understands you at your core. And right now, that feels impossible. Trump's reelection has made a lot of women feel like they're strangers in their own land. So we got to give you ladies some strategies so you don't lose hope. And so today, I'm going to share 3 unconventional strategies that have helped our clients without having to compromise who they are or what they believe in. Now, I'm not going to lie. This might challenge some of your current thinking, but I need you to trust me here because what I'm about to share isn't just theory, okay? These are proven strategies that have worked for hundreds of women who felt exactly like you feel right now. And before we dive in, I want you to know something deeply important. You might be thinking that because you're not religious, because you're not traditional, because you don't fit into that conservative marriage box, that somehow you're less worthy or less likely to find lasting love. I see this all the time, brilliant, passionate women convincing themselves that lifelong marriage belongs to a certain type of woman. That if you're not posting Bible verses or baking cookies or agreeing with the traditional gender roles, you've somehow disqualified yourself from having that beautiful, lasting partnership. But let me be crystal clear. Your desire for a deep and meaningful connection isn't just valid, it's sacred. And it has absolutely nothing to do with being traditional or religious or fitting into any predetermined box. Some of the most beautiful lasting marriages we've helped create are between people who share progressive values, who build their relationships on equality, shared vision, and mutual respect. The problem isn't your values or your beliefs at all. The problem isn't that you care about social justice or that you want an equal partnership or that you see the world differently than your conservative neighbors. The problem is simply your strategy. You're trying to find lasting love using methods that were not designed for a woman like you. And that's what we're going to fix today. Because we've cracked the code on how progressive women can find and build incredible marriages with men who share their exact values without compromising who they are, without settling, and especially without having to pretend to be someone that you're not. You don't need to change your beliefs to find love. You just need to change your approach. And here's what's beautiful about this. We're not going to change anything fundamental about who you are. You get to keep your values, your passions, your intelligence, your drive, all of it. All we're going to change is how you are being perceived in the dating market. Because right now, the way you're presenting yourself might be hiding your wonderful marriage-worthy qualities from the exact kind of man who's looking for someone exactly like you. Your future husband is out there right now looking for a woman just like you, a woman who shares his values, his vision for the world, his desire for equal and passionate partnership. But he needs to be able to see you as his future wife, not just another angry voice in the chaos. He needs to recognize you as someone who can build a beautiful life with him, who can navigate challenges with grace, who can create a peaceful home, even in turbulent times. This is about helping that man find you. It's about making sure that when he does come across your path, he sees all of your incredible wife-worthy qualities you already possess because they're already there. We just need to make sure they're shining brighter than the distractions. Because at the end of the day, the president changes every 4 years, but your marriage lasts the rest of your life. And so the real question is, are you positioning yourself to be found by the husband who's already looking for you? Now, here's what we've been seeing lately, and this might sound familiar to you, okay? Single progressive women who want and are ready for marriage but are upset about Trump's reelection are doing one of 3 things right now, and all of them are actually pushing you further from marriage. First, you're turning your social media into a political battleground. We're watching women, even in some cases, actual friends of mine, filming themselves having full-on meltdowns on Instagram stories, posting those "if you believe X, unfollow me" declarations, getting into 3-hour arguments in the Facebook comments with their high school classmates, sharing every single outrage-inducing headline that crosses your feed. But here's what you may not know. Right now, there are accounts with millions of followers whose entire purpose is finding and reposting women's political reaction videos. These videos don't disappear. They get archived, reposted, and turned into memes. That video of you screaming about politics in your car, it could resurface when your future employer Googles you, when your future in-laws look you up, when your kids are old enough to search your name. Now, let me be very clear. This isn't about silencing your voice, okay? This is about being strategic with your future because that digital footprint, it's not just forever. It's actively working against your desires for marriage right now. Those social media outbursts aren't actually changing anyone's mind or creating the real impact that you want to create. They're just signaling to potential husbands that you might not be able to handle life's challenges with grace. And listen, your passion for making the world better, it's beautiful and it's exactly what makes you marriage material. But screaming into your camera isn't going to create the change you want to see. Imagine instead channeling that energy into real, tangible impact. The kind of impact you could create alongside a husband who shares your values. Think about the power of two people who share the same vision for a better world, working together, building community programs, supporting causes that matter to them, creating actual change in your local area. That's the kind of legacy that lasts longer than any viral moment. Your future husband isn't looking for someone who's silent about what matters. He's looking for someone who knows how to create meaningful change effectively. Someone who understands that real influence comes from building bridges, not burning them. Someone who can turn passion into purpose, anger into action, and frustration into forward movement. The most powerful couples aren't the ones fighting in comment sections on Instagram. They're the ones quietly building foundations, funding initiatives, mentoring others, and creating lasting change in their communities. That's the kind of impact you can have when you save your energy for what really matters, instead of spending it on social media meltdowns. So the second thing we're seeing is women completely giving up on dating in their area. They're deleting their dating apps every other week because all the men here are conservative. They're staying in dead-end situationships with guys who at least voted the right way, even though these men won't commit and treat them like a backup plan. They're spending their weekends alone, telling themselves it's better than trying to date in this climate. A lot of you are trying to convince yourself that your only options are to either move to Canada, wait 4 years for things to change, or die alone with your cats. You're spending your prime marriage years scrolling dating apps for hours, getting more and more defeated because every profile you see has some political value-based deal breaker in it, and you're wasting months, even years, in talking stages with men who share your politics but won't share a future with you. I know you're watching your friends pair off one by one, getting engaged, building families, while you're stuck in this cycle of political compatibility over actual marriage compatibility. And I know you guys are thinking about the time slipping past to have kids, whether you want to admit it or not, and I know that your beautiful hearts are growing more cynical with each passing year. I know that you're developing these elaborate theories about why marriage is impossible in this political climate instead of developing actual strategies to find a husband who shares your values. Let me be very clear. None of these approaches will get you the marriage you want. None of these will attract the kind of men who will treasure, cherish you, and build a life with you based on shared values. But here's the thing. And this is crucial. The problem isn't your values. The problem isn't even the dating market. The problem is that no one has showed you how to navigate this situation strategically. No one has given you the actual tools to find love in these chaotic times. That's why the 3 strategies I'm going to share with you are so different from what you might have heard before. They're not about changing who you are or what you believe. They're about being smart about how you move through the dating world. And that's what makes all of the difference. So let's talk about how to actually protect your future while still being true to who you are. Because there's a massive difference between expressing your values and exploding your chances at marriage. And we're going to show you how to do this right. First, we need to do damage control. If you've posted any emotional reaction videos, any late night rants, any heated political arguments, archive them right now. Not delete, archive. Keep them private if you need to look back and remember why you felt that way, but get them off your public profile. This isn't about shame, it's about strategy. Now, if you're really smart, instead of emotional outbursts online, I want you to start building a wife-worthy digital footprint. This means being intentional about what future high-quality men will see when they look you up. Because they will look you up. The kind of successful marriage-minded man you want, he's vetting you just as carefully as you're vetting him. So here's what works. Share content about what you're building, not what you're destroying. Post about the community garden you're working in, the local organizations you support, the positive changes you're making in your immediate circle. This shows you're a woman who takes action to create the world she wants to see, not someone who just complains about the world as it is. If you have a blog or you're someone who regularly interacts with current events openly online, do it from a place of wisdom, not warfare. Think opinion piece, not opinion explosion. Share thoughtful articles with your own measured insights. Engage in ways that show you can discuss difficult topics with grace. This is incredibly attractive to high-quality men because it shows you can handle conflict with maturity. The most influential women in history didn't gain their influence by posting angry Instagram stories. They built real relationships, created actual change in their communities, and carried themselves with dignity even in chaos. That's the energy that attracts a husband who will support your values and amplify your voice, not dim it. Remember, your future husband isn't looking for a woman with no opinions. He's looking for a woman who knows how to wield her influence wisely. A woman who understands the difference between making an impact and making a scene. Next, let's talk about protecting your mental health, because you can't attract a husband if you're operating from a place of constant anxiety and overwhelm. I know a lot of you are checking political news before you even get out of bed, spending your lunch breaks doom scrolling, and falling asleep to cable news playing in the background. Yeah, I see you. Your nervous system is completely fried. You're carrying the weight of the entire political system on your shoulders, and it's destroying your feminine energy. You're wondering why you feel depleted all the time? Why you can barely drag yourself to a date after work? Why you're snapping at small inconveniences and feeling like you're constantly on edge? It's because these news outlets are literally vampiring your life force. They are designed to keep you in a constant state of fight or flight, and they are succeeding. Think about it. You wake up anxious, immediately reach for your phone to check what new crisis is happening. Your cortisol spikes before you've even had your coffee. By lunch, you're deep in comment sections, your stomach in knots. By evening, you're emotionally exhausted, but still forcing yourself to stay informed. You're letting these news cycles steal every ounce of your radiant energy. So when you finally do meet that husband material man, you're too damn drained to even recognize him. You're showing up to dates already depleted, already triggered, already running on empty. How can you possibly expect to attract a high quality man when you're operating at such a low frequency? How can you expect to recognize good men when your nervous system is so dysregulated that everyone feels like a threat? The reality is, being this plugged into the political chaos isn't making you a better person, sweetheart. It's making you a burnt out version of yourself. And burnt out women don't attract marriage-minded men. They attract other burnt out people looking for someone to commiserate with. Okay, so here's what we're going to do instead. First, we're implementing what we call soft landings. These are sacred spaces and practices that nurture your feminine essence, and they're absolutely non-negotiables during times of political chaos. A soft landing isn't just a break from the noise, it's an intentional return to your feminine nature, a way to replenish your energy when the world is trying to deplete it. Think of soft landings as your personal restoration rituals. They're the practices that bring you back to yourself when everything around you is pulling you into masculine fight or flight energy. This means designated times where you completely disconnect from the chaos. And I don't mean a surface level social media break where you still check the news. I mean full, deep disconnection from anything that spikes your cortisol, anything that puts you out of your feminine essence. These soft landings are what keep you magnetic and what preserve your ability to receive love while maintaining your capacity for deep connection. Because when you're constantly in battle mode, you can't be in reception mode. And marriage-minded men are attracted to women who can receive their love, their protection, their provision, not women who are armored up 24/7 from fighting political battles. Some of our clients book regular spa weekends, others do digital sunsets at 7 p.m., but I'm going to share something controversial that's worked incredibly well. If you're really struggling, I want you to consider a voluntary 48-hour stay at a mental health facility. Now, before you think I'm crazy, hear me out. Listen carefully. This is important. These places are like forced retreats. Your phone is checked at the door. You're completely insulated from the outside world. You can do art therapy. You can talk to professionals, therapists, mental health workers, and reset your entire nervous system. It's private. It's often covered by insurance, and it is a legitimate way to put your mental health first. We've had clients do this quarterly, actually, as a preventive care, and they come out radiant and regulated. Now, I understand if you think that's too extreme, but that means you're going to have to take extra steps to create your own sanctuary. So you can transform your bedroom into a no politics zone. Delete news apps from your phone. Start a daily practice that grounds you in your feminine energy. Garden, yoga, painting, anything that brings you back to yourself. Here's why this matters for marriage. Men are deeply attracted to women who can maintain their peace regardless of external chaos. When you can stay grounded while everyone else is spinning out, you become magnetic. You're showing that you can be a stable partner, a calm presence, and someone who can weather life's storms without becoming the storm. Plus, when you're not exhausted from carrying the weight of the world, you have energy to actually date, to show up as your best self, to recognize good men when they appear instead of being too triggered to see them. Now let's talk about the solution that's going to completely change your dating landscape. While other women are fighting over the small pool of men in their area, I want you to consider something revolutionary. Expanding your search beyond your backyard. But I'm not talking about moving to the nearest big city or even Canada. Those places are still swimming in the same political soup. In fact, Canada is going through its own intense political shifts right now. So all these women talking about wanting to move to Canada because Trump won. Canada isn't the progressive safe haven they might imagine. Canada is dealing with the exact same political tensions, the same heated debates, and the same divisions we are having here. Just earlier this month, Google searches for moving to Canada spiked by 5,000% after the election results. But here's the reality check. In Canada, you'll still be hearing about American politics every single day because they're right next door. Plus, they're going through their own conservative wave right now. Their current liberal leadership is less popular than ever, and young Canadians are actually embracing conservative values at surprising rates. So if you're trying to escape political tension, moving to Canada is like jumping out of this frying pan and jumping right into another frying pan. You're not escaping anything, sweetheart. You're just changing the accent of the arguments you're going to hear. And more importantly, you're running away from the possibility of meeting your future husband here or in places that could actually give you a fresh start. This is why we're suggesting something completely different. Instead of running to a place that mirror images our own political chaos, why not consider countries where you can actually build a peaceful life with a man who naturally aligns with your values? Sounds impossible, right? Like what, how, why? I'm talking about countries where what you're looking for isn't just common, it's the norm. They exist. Let me paint you a picture of what's possible. Imagine dating in places like Denmark, Sweden, or Norway. We're talking about educated men who believe in equality, not because it's trendy, not because they think it's going to get them laid, but because it's just how they were raised. Men who think universal health care is as normal as breathing. Men who take paternity leave without thinking twice about it. And here's what nobody's telling you. These men are fascinated by American women. They find your directness refreshing, your ambition attractive, your passion for social issues admirable. So while you're here fighting to be heard, there are literally thousands of eligible men in these countries who are already speaking your language, both literally and figuratively. We had a client, let's call her Sarah. She was burnt out from dating in her conservative hometown, small little hometown, tired of having the same arguments on every first date. She took our advice, spent 2 weeks remotely working from Copenhagen, and within a month, she was being courted, yes, courted, by successful businessmen who shared all of her values. And the best part about dating internationally, you get to completely disconnect from the American political chaos. When your man reads about US politics, it's in Danish or Swedish. You can explicitly tell him you don't want to talk about it. And guess what? Your nervous system actually gets to rest while you focus on building a real connection and doing other things in your community that create real change. Now, I know what you're thinking, moving to another country, maybe that's a bit extreme, but let me ask you this. Is it more extreme than spending the next decade trying to change men who don't want to be changed? More extreme than settling for someone who doesn't share your fundamental values? More extreme than staying single because you're waiting for your area to magically change? Let me show you exactly how to start exploring these options because I know this feels big, but I'm going to break it down into practical steps that you can start today. First, let's talk about testing the waters. You don't need to book a one-way flight to Stockholm tomorrow, okay? Start by adjusting your dating application settings to these countries. Most premium subscriptions allow international matching, so pick one city, Copenhagen, Oslo, Stockholm, and start having conversations. This costs you literally nothing but time and gives you a taste of how different the dating culture is. Second, leverage your current situation. If you're working remotely, you're sitting on a golden ticket. Talk to your employer about working abroad for a few weeks. Position it as professional development, experiencing different work cultures, building international connections. Many companies are actually eager to have employees gain global experience. For those of you who can't work remotely, start planning what we'll call, let's say, a relationship reconnaissance trip. 2 weeks of vacation strategically used in one of these countries. But here's the key. Don't treat it like a hookup holiday. Start building connections online at least 2 months before you go. Join expat groups, connect with local professional networks. The goal is to already have quality dates lined up before you land. Now let's talk about the language barrier because I know that's scary. The truth is, in these countries, most educated men speak excellent English, but showing interest in their language is incredibly attractive. Download Duolingo, learn basic phrases. This shows you're serious about possibly building a life there. Here's a strategic tip that worked for our clients. Start with the larger international cities where English is common, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Oslo. These cities have huge international business communities. The men there are used to dating across cultures, and they're often looking for long-term relationships because hookup culture isn't as prevalent as it is here. For the practical-minded women wondering about visas and logistics, these countries often have pathways to residency through work or study. Some of our clients started with a study visa, taking language courses while dating. Others found jobs with international companies that sponsored them. And yes, some ended up with marriage visas, but that was a natural progression, not the initial goal. Most importantly, have your documentation ready, get your passport if you don't have one, start gathering the kinds of documents you'll need for an extended stay abroad. Not because you're definitely moving, but because being prepared gives you the options. There's nothing worse than meeting the right person and then having to wait months for paperwork. Let me leave you with this truth. Your desire for a deep, meaningful marriage with someone who shares your values isn't unrealistic. The only unrealistic thing is expecting to find it while using strategies that clearly aren't working for you. You don't have to choose between your values and your desire for marriage. You don't have to spend the next several years feeling triggered and exhausted. You don't have to settle for men who fundamentally see the world differently than you do. What we're offering you isn't just a dating strategy, it's a complete paradigm shift. While other women are shrinking themselves, fighting losing battles, or giving up entirely, you can be building something real, something lasting, something that aligns with everything you believe in. Remember, every woman who's found her perfect match had to be willing to look beyond what was immediately in front of her. Sometimes the love you're looking for isn't in your backyard, it's across the ocean. Sometimes protecting your future means making bold choices today. And sometimes the fastest path to the life you want is the one that nobody around you is taking. You deserve a marriage that feels like a sanctuary, not a battlefield. You deserve a partner who doesn't just tolerate your values, but champions them alongside of you. That partner exists. He's out there living his life, probably wondering where his American wife is. The only question is, are you ready to think differently about how to find him? Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and even more importantly, your feminine essence is sacred. Guard it, honor it, and watch how the right kind of masculine rises to meet it. See you next time.